So, for anyone in the tech world, especially in cloud computing, certifications can feel like a constantly moving target. Just when you think you've got a handle on one, it changes. And that's exactly what's happening in the Azure space. Microsoft recently retired its popular AZ-103 exam and replaced it with the new AZ-104, which is now the main path to becoming a Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate.
Right. And this isn't just a simple name change. This shift is a huge signal about how the role of an Azure Administrator is fundamentally changing. It's not just about setting things up anymore.
Exactly. The new exam digs much deeper into things like advanced application monitoring, identity and governance, security operations, and even disaster recovery. So, David, when you see this expanded scope, especially the emphasis on advanced monitoring and security, what does that tell you about what Microsoft really wants from an Azure admin today?
Well, it tells me Microsoft wants admins to evolve from being simple configurators into what I'd call strategic managers. It's no longer enough to just know how to spin up a virtual machine. They expect you to understand how to optimize its performance in a live environment, how to secure it, ensure it's highly available, and proactively solve problems before they happen. That's the real skill for managing a complex cloud environment.
That makes sense. It's a move from basic setup to comprehensive management. So, with that in mind, let's get into the specifics. Where has the AZ-104 exam really expanded and deepened the requirements? In a few key areas, the AZ-104 really raises the bar. For instance, in identity and governance, it's combined what used to be two separate domains, manage Azure subscriptions and resources, and manage identity into one. This means candidates need a much more integrated understanding of Azure Active Directory, multi-factor authentication, conditional access policies, and Azure's role-based access control.
And that integration is so important. It means identity management is no longer treated as this isolated skill. It's now rightly seen as the foundation of the entire governance framework, which is exactly how it works in the real world.
So, among all these expanded areas, which one do you think is the most telling about Microsoft's push for professional development? Is it this integration of identity or maybe the new focus on security operations?
I think the integration of identity and governance is the absolute key. In the past, you could learn these topics separately, but in any real job, they are completely intertwined. By merging them, Microsoft is saying that a top-tier Azure admin has to think at a higher level. You have to understand how your identity management choices directly support the organization's overall governance and security strategy. It's not just about knowing the tech anymore. It's about understanding business logic and compliance.
I see. That holistic view is crucial. Now, beyond identity and governance, what about data? What are the new points of emphasis for data management and storage in the AZ-104? On the data management and storage front, the AZ-104 has also seen some significant updates. There's a much heavier emphasis on managing Azure Blob Storage, including things like lifecycle management policies, access control, and integration. And at the same time, data protection and disaster recovery using tools like Azure Backup and Azure Site Recovery have become central pillars of the exam.
This is a direct response to what businesses are most concerned about right now. They need admins who can expertly handle huge amounts of unstructured data while guaranteeing that data is secure and that the business can keep running no matter what happens.
That brings up an interesting point. While the exam adds focus on blob storage and data protection, it also removes some more specialized services, like Content Delivery Network and Azure Data Factory. What do you think is the logic behind that decision?
I think it's all about role clarity. Microsoft is drawing a clearer line between the Azure Administrator and other roles like the developer or the data engineer. An admin's core job is managing and maintaining the infrastructure, which absolutely includes storage and backups. Services like Data Factory, which are about building data pipelines and ETL processes, fall more into the developer's court. This focus makes the certification much more precise and valuable for companies trying to hire for a specific administrative role.
That role definition is a really critical point. So, looking at all these changes, what's the fundamental driver behind this whole exam reform from Microsoft? Ultimately, the reason Microsoft overhauled the exam is that the cloud industry itself is evolving at an incredible pace. Companies don't just need people who can perform basic setup tasks anymore. They need highly skilled admins who can manage incredibly complex cloud environments.
Exactly. And that means the value of the certificate is tied to how well it proves you have the skills the market actually needs today. It's a win-win. The person with the cert is more employable, and the employer knows they're getting someone who can solve real modern problems.
Right. The relevance to the industry is key. So for anyone listening who is now thinking about taking this on, what are some effective strategies for preparing for the new AZ-104 exam? To pass the AZ-104, a solid prep strategy is crucial. Beyond the official Microsoft Learn documentation, using resources like Microsoft AZ-104 practice tests and high-quality study materials, often called dumps, can really help you get familiar with the exam format, solidify your knowledge, and pinpoint your weak spots.
The practice tests and good dumps are especially key. They simulate the pressure and style of the actual exam. Getting comfortable with that experience means you'll be much more composed and confident on the actual test day. It's one thing to know the material, but it's another to be able to recall it and apply it under pressure.
That's great advice. It seems that becoming a qualified Azure Administrator today is as much about having an effective learning strategy as it is about keeping up with the technology itself. David, to wrap things up, could you give us a quick summary of the key takeaways from our discussion?
Of course. First, the AZ-104 has replaced the AZ-103, and it demands a much deeper and broader skill set for managing Azure resources. Second, the new exam really emphasizes the integration of identity and governance, along with stronger skills in security, disaster recovery, and automation. Third, to prepare effectively, you really need a mix of official learning materials, hands-on practice, and realistic exam simulations. And finally, and I think most importantly, this entire reform shows how the industry's expectation for an Azure admin has shifted. It's no longer just about configuration. It's about strategic management.